I have gone down so many rabbit holes on different conspiracy theories, planes coming from people that are very high up in our White House with illegal children that have gone missing. So I, you know, I I like to have a lot of faith in God and His plan, but unfortunately, just as much as God's working, so is the devil.
Jim Brewer.
Jim Brewer.
Jim Brewer.
Jim Brewer.
Jim Brewer.
Hey, this is Jim Brewer. What's up, dude?
What's going on, Miguel? Miguel. A dare meno tutto se ne va, tu scunde battene de mago.
Come again?
We got to talk about you
Oh, no.
in Naples and setting up this room somehow.
Yeah. Yeah.
You got to hire someone.
I mean, yeah, whatever you need, man. I'll drive out there. I'll get that shit done.
So last night I was on Patreon,
Oh.
and our Patreon members were all excited about what you're doing. They're like, we love that Mike is on the road. And I was talking to Magoo, and Magoo we saw in Atlanta, I think. And he said his favorite part of the whole night, he goes, he loved the shows and all that, but his favorite part of the whole night was actually getting to hang out and talk with you and me and Joe when we were just hanging out in the hallway. I was like,
yeah.
Wow. Yeah, so that was,
dude, that's cool.
Yeah. It was really, really cool. So we were on the line last night for like an hour and a half, and they were super stoked about everything you're doing and all that stuff. So it was good.
Nice.
Let me do something real quick. You know that one, Mike?
Isn't it the Doors?
Yeah, very good.
When you're strange.
When you're strange. When you're all right, let's cut to Mr. Joel Richard. Apparently, Joel, before we even go to Joel, who is like a self-made now entrepreneur, had a comedy club when the lockdowns happened. He Rage Against the Machine, did show in lawns, got a airport hangar. I am here because of Joel. I'm just being honest. Yeah. Like there was a time where they shut everything down. And Joe was like, And I don't know if you know Joe, but he's always like, okay, so there's this field outside. Like, we're just going to put a show out there, and you got to bring your own chairs. He Rage Against the Machine. He's on the B-side of my YouTube channel, Breuer B-side. Whole interview with him. I was sick as a dog. One of the most viral clips are always out of Soul Joel's, and he's capitalizing. He's like, you know what? I can write a book, which is very. I'm going to capitalize as much as I'm going to capitalize on the lockdowns, and I got a book. Some people are like, I'm on a boat. Joel's like, I've got a book. What is your book, Joel?
So it's called Not Funny. I started out as a comedian, but I
didn't know that.
Yeah, that's how I started. But I started producing shows, and that's where my real passion. I realized how I was going to make a living out of this was to start producing shows and eventually own a comedy club. But I chose to open a comedy club November 1st, 2019, 4 months before COVID happened. So my timing wasn't really great.
I didn't know that was I didn't know 2019 was when I thought you've been around forever.
I had been around forever, but I had been doing shows in other people's venues, and went from 1 day a week to 5 days a week in 4 months, right before March of 2020. And so this book is coming out to tell everyone my entire story, put it in one place, and it's coming out March 12th, the
Okay.
4-year anniversary of our last show.
So the place you're at now, where I perform at,
Yeah.
and I see you're getting some cool names showing up there.
Thanks, brother. Yeah,
Um,
it's all
it,
happening.
what you own that venue now?
Yeah,
You
so
own
it's
it?
17 acres. My brother-in-law runs the restaurant and all the catering. Back in the day, Louis Armstrong, Sinatra, Duke Ellington, Glenn Miller, they all performed there. We're trying to revitalize that and bring more people, bigger acts in like yourself. And we're doing weddings, proms, everything.
Yeah. It's it's a very electric, or at least when I'm there. I mean, I'm assuming it's like that a lot, but that when I'm there, that's one of the most electric rooms for me to perform. And I don't know if that's just the people that started showing up to see me, but that place is explosive. It's a really cool venue, and hopefully I can get. Well, I don't know if I'll get there before the year's over. Maybe
Anytime,
sometime.
man.
I don't know.
Yeah.
So you're going to sell the books at the venue, obviously.
Yeah, yeah, and it's available now for pre-order. Special limited edition. I'm gonna autograph anybody that orders it between now and March 12th, and then I'm gonna have a meet
Cool.
and greet on March 23rd at my venue.
All right, that sounds pretty cool.
Yeah, thanks, man. But
Look
yeah,
at
the
you.
the the,
Just,
the crowds are always great for you. And my stepdad keeps
I
reminding me
know.
that when you were walking 2 stage, as sick as you were, you still made it happen for the crowds. But you said these crowds are electric, and if anybody does bad, that's on them because these crowds are so good at Soul Joel's, and I appreciate
They
it, brother.
really are. They really are. They really are. Yeah, and I remember that last time I was there, I was sick as a dog. It was before the show. I was like laying down.
Let's see. Today's November 1st. I think we're in Pottstown, Pennsylvania, tonight and tomorrow, at Soul Joel's. I love Soul Joel's because during the lockdowns and all that, he had an outdoor venue, and it was awesome. It was sold out, and the crowd was nuts.
And then, but man, you wouldn't realize it when I was up there. So all is good. I wish you the best on the book, and we'll post it on here, and yeah, I'll be willing to check that out. Do I get a meet and greet? How much do I have to pay for the signed book if I'm just a?
I'll send it to you, brother. I owe you for life, and I can't
Oh
thank you
no, you
enough.
don't.
You're the artist that sold out the most shows over the pandemic, and I'll never forget you, man. Even if you don't ever perform my place ever again, I'm
No, I
forever
think I'll
in
be
debt
there.
to you, man.
Never, never, never. You're a good guy. I wish you the best. I love how you just keep getting it. It's freaking. You're the classic Rage Against the Machine. I freaking love it.
Love
I
you,
mean, and
brother.
then we talked a couple times. If you ever want to like try venturing out a little bit, like you started before you got this, you started dabbling a little bit, like hey, this, and that. If that ever crosses your mind again, I would definitely pick your brain and see if we could pull something off, like a weekend event or something like that. All right, we'll figure it out. In the meantime, everyone enjoy the book. What is it called again?
Not funny,
What is it
which is
called,
how we got
Joel?
here.
Not
Yeah, yeah,
funny.
not funny. The soul behind Joel.
I love it. Brother, have a good one, man. Say hello to your whole family. Love you, man. Have a good one.
Love you too. Thanks, brother.
Take care, buddy. Bye. Soul Joel's. Yeah. If to find out more about Soul Joel's, just go on the YouTube, the Jim Brewer, the Breuniverse. You go on the jimbrewer.com and look at the B-side. It's a great piece on him. It was a really good documentary. It's all true, and he's one of those guys that took advantage. He wouldn't let the world bring him down. He wouldn't let closing him down stop him or his family. And I love people like that. And he's a hustler. And I always admire guys like that. So, all right, off to our next topic. One of the things I love doing on the tour is we bring Mike, the sound guy, and he films everything. And I invite you to check that out on the Patreon page. It's almost like documentary, off-stage hangouts in the car, at the venues, at the theaters. It's really cool, and I hope you check it out on Patreon. It is Driving with Brew. We do all different things on the Patreon. And here's the thing with the Patreon. You can sign up just for 1 month and then quit at the end of the month. That's my mentality. Check it out now on Patreon, Driving with Brew. I was at an event called Path to Freedom. And we'll get into that a little bit. So it was an event called Path to Freedom, and this young lady went up as one of the speakers, and she started speaking, and she Miss Florida, and whew, she was talking, and then there was a moment where she kind of broke, and then I sat there like a baby. I don't know if it was the one. I'm always a baby anyway. I'm not gonna lie to you. Like I'm always like, I get extremely emotional. I don't know if that's from having 3 daughters. It could be from having 3 daughters, but I'm very confident in the person I am and the guy I am, and I have no problem getting upset when I get upset. And what I thought, I just thought it was very, I'm fascinated, and I would love to talk to this individual about many things. Uh, about her Miss Florida whole run and what's going on behind that. And then her and her husband have this construction company. So I went to the husband. I always want to be respectful. I always go right to the husband. I'm like, hey, I'd love to speak to you. If she's into doing that. And so I never, like, that's the first person I always go to. When I do my meet and greets, if you notice, I don't care if the female comes running up and she comes to say hello. I always got my hand out to the guy first because I don't ever want to disrespect the guy ever. That's just such a, I learned that a long time. Like that drives me nuts if the guy's kind of pushed out in the background. So, with that said, please welcome Miss Tatianna Diaz. Hi, Tatianna.
Hi, thank you for having me.
I'm glad you came on. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing all right. So I have questions for you. First of all, I know you're married. Is there
Yes.
children too, or no?
No children. We just have a very large dog. He's actually laying right in front of me. He has separation anxiety. He's a 200-pound Great Dane, but inside he's just a little puppy.
Oh my God, Great Danes are a lot. That's a big dog. I had a girlfriend that had a Great Dane. The thing was huge, and
Oh,
people are afraid of them, but they're really just lovable, adorable dogs.
you know,
Very, very
he is such a great protector. He has a really mean bark, and I've only seen 2 people that he's ever disliked, and we actually told him, like, "You weren't allowed in our house," because I've never seen him so triggered. And
oh.
to me, I was like, "If my dog who loves everyone doesn't like you, I'm sorry, you can't come in."
Well, the dogs have serious senses, so they know they usually know what's going on. So
Oh, absolutely.
I would go through that. So, all right, quick a couple questions. How do you can we talk about the I see you say Mrs. Florida. What is
Yeah.
Mrs. Florida compared to Miss Florida pageant?
You know what's so funny? I get asked this question all the time, and then I also get asked, "Are you really Mrs. Florida?" And that one always cracks me up because I'm naturally a sarcastic person. And obviously in pageantry, like, you're supposed to be a little less sarcastic, but I'm like, "You know
Yes.
what? I'm gonna be who I am." So I'm always telling people, "No, I went to the store and I did this DIY myself, and I'm here just so, just with my little
Yeah.
craft."
Yeah.
Um, so Miss Florida is it's basically you're married or you're not married. Mrs. America has been around for 47 years, so I'm the 47th Mrs. Florida. And the Miss America, Miss USA systems didn't allow married women prior to about 2 years ago. So
Oh
now
wow.
they've lifted the rules on being married and an age limit. So before, you were only able to compete if you were 27 or under and not married. So that's why they had a Mrs. category. So basically, you still represent your nation, but we're two different systems, and one is for married women and one's for unmarried women. But now you can compete as an unmarried woman if you wanted.
I kind of like that because just being in the entertainment industry, I noticed the first thing they usually try to do I remember when I first started and I had a manager and he didn't like that I got engaged. He did not like that I got
Really?
engaged. Yeah, he didn't like that I had a different set of eyes on the situation. And
Mm.
so I wonder if that plays in it at all a little bit when it comes to business or people that start surrounding you and all that jazz. So
For me, I've had a lot of people asking once I give up this title if I'm going to compete at Miss USA now. A lot of people said that's a little bit more my style because I am more of a bubbly, flirty type of personality.
yeah.
And Mrs. America system is definitely not that. So people are always like, you need to go to Miss USA. But for me, it's really important to represent my Mrs. title and, showcase my marriage. So I am having a little bit of trouble, thinking if that's something I would ever do in the future because I am so proud of being married. And people
Yeah.
still ask me with the MRS on my sash if I'm married. So,
Yeah.
so can you imagine?
Yeah. Mrs.
Yeah.
Duh. I'm married.
That's exactly my thought. I'm just like, hello.
So how does the process work? I like how does this even begin? Where does it start? Is it you going from modeling and then and you have an agency and then they push in that direction? How does it even start going to the direction of, oh, now I'm competing for Miss Florida, Mrs. Florida, and I get it.
My mom had always had me in modeling when I was younger, so I've always done modeling just here and there for fun. But it was never like something I pushed on, and I never did pageantry when I was younger. It wasn't until I competed for this title that I had joined pageantry, and it was specifically because I wanted to speak on human trafficking. And
Wow.
yeah, so people, when we moved to Florida, my husband and I do construction, as you mentioned, and I do real estate. So when we came here, I was looking up all these facts about Florida, just trying to get to know the state. And I learned that we're number 3 in the nation. So I would start talking to people about it. I would start volunteering in different organizations. And as I learned more about what's going on, I learned how big it is, even in Naples, the city I'm in.
Mm,
And people just kept dismissing me. And it was really part of my language just pissing me off. I was
mm,
getting so frustrated because I was just like, you guys can sit here and talk about politics for hours. But when I want
right.
to talk about something that's happening and something you should just be aware of for your kids' sake, you want to shut me down because you don't want to believe it's happening in our beautiful little city or state.
Right.
And so I was like, well, where's somewhere I can go that people will listen to me more and I'll get more publicity on this topic? And I was like, well, a pageant. So I typed up and found out there was a Mrs. pageant. I decided to jump in 2 weeks before the state competition. I had no idea. I've never been in a pageant before, didn't know what I was doing. I didn't place. And I said, okay, that's fine. I'm going to prepare and I'm going to come back next year. And I did. And then I took the title. And since then, I've been able to travel all around the state of Florida, speaking on human trafficking from Pensacola to Naples, all over. And it's been amazing. I've been able to do exactly what I wanted. And I truly think God had a plan set out because then Sound of Freedom came out. So it's just all really fallen in line with my goal.
What Wow, so you use this platform specifically, if I heard you right, just so you can speak and be heard more about the sex trafficking and the human trafficking. Uh,
Yes.
what what brought that to your attention?
I've learned of human trafficking since I was a little girl when I watched a movie, and it just
Uh,
always stuck with me.
what movie was it? Do you remember?
Oh my gosh. My mom was just talking about it the other day. She was like, "I'm so surprised you remember that movie." And I'll have to ask her what the name was and send it over to you. But it wasn't Taken. Everyone's like, "Was it Taken?" No, it was about a girl who gets taken by an organization, and her dad spends decades trying to find her. By the time he finds her, he can't even recognize her, not only because she's a full grown adult, but she then became the female ringleader for the exact organization that was trafficking her. And that just blew my mind.
I remember seeing. I think I was flying to Europe, and I have no clue what this movie is, and I wish I could hunt it down. Maybe the listeners can help me find. I don't. It was two. I want to say there were two like Russian girls or two girls in a small little town, and this is the first time where I opened my eyes to how powerful this was, and I was so distraught after this movie. And we're flying. I'm in first class. And life is great. And it was these two women, a guy, a sharp dressed looking guy, someone they know in town, comes
Mhm.
along and says, "Hey, there's this incredible opportunity in London, and where we can use you as young." And I forgot how they lured them. I don't know if they were going to be
Yeah.
executives or whatever it was, but they
Mhm.
took these two girls from that town. They were of age, like 18, straight out of high school. And then once they landed in London, the first guy meets them with the suit and tie. And the minute they're in the car, boom, it's beyond horrifying. It was the most, it was, I still get a pit in my stomach thinking about it. And I don't know how deep you go with the last couple of years. It seems that's really come to it's more people are more aware of it. I don't know if they're doing more, but I've never seen such a great awareness of the human trafficking.
Oh,
Um,
absolutely, and I think the movie Sound of Freedom really helped.
yeah,
Um, a lot of people, they get very fixated on certain things though. So a lot of people have in their mind that sex trafficking is the only thing. A lot of people have
right,
in their mind that because of the border, that's why we're having all these issues when we're not. Actually, the highest percent of people that are getting trafficked are US citizens. So it's right here in our own state. It's not people coming from the border. But
right.
a lot of the time we want to deny what the truth is to make ourselves feel better on what's going on in our world. And unfortunately, labor trafficking is a huge thing. Beggars are a very huge thing. Tim Tebow is actually talking about a beggar that they saved, and the mom was getting frustrated because the girl wasn't coming back with enough money. So she actually burned out one of her eyes in hopes that that
Oh,
would make her raise more money. So there's so many different ways that people are trafficking humans, and a lot of it, unfortunately, is from those closest to us.
it. Do you get do you get worried at all, or do you get freaked out before you're even worried? Does it freak you out how many people possibly know about this that are in the inside, meaning judges, police officers, government officials, congressmen, senators, all your and what's even more disturbing and disgusting, and I don't know this for a fact. I started learning about social services and how
Mhm.
certain organizations were created specifically to lure you in. I mean, what better place to find someone? Hey, are you lost and you feel like I'm not saying suicide or what, but give us a call. Do you feel someone's and then you call and you don't even know that's the trap.
Yeah.
Um, have you come across any of that in your lifetime that you're just like, oh my God.
To be very blunt, I have gone down so many rabbit holes on different conspiracy theories, planes coming from people that are very high up in our
Mm,
White House with illegal children that have gone missing. So I, you know, I I like to have a lot of faith in God and his plan, but unfortunately, just as much as God's working, so is the devil. And
100%.
a lot of people, and a big problem too is, and that's what we do at Paths of Freedom, is we're not just saving these girls by providing them a safe home, but we're working from the inside out. So we're providing them counseling. We're helping them face what they're going through. Because unfortunately, a lot of these children who get trafficked, it's a chain reaction because they think that's normal. So they then go on to do it because they think that this is a normal part of life instead of
That's a lot.
realizing that that's not okay. And so it's a sick disease that people end up falling into. It's very unfortunate. And unfortunately, there are a lot of higher up people that I don't have a lot of faith in, but
Mm.
we have to pray for the kids that are being trafficked just as much as we have to pray for the people who are causing the evil.
Yeah. So you're mentioning the path to freedom. I discovered it through a friend, and the friend invited us, and she's on the board, and I, I that blew me away too. Where you have what Tatiana is explaining. There's a place here in Naples where they the saved girls or the girls that have been in a situation, they are now housed, and you try to basically bring them back into society or work on them through therapy and years and years. And it seems to be pretty well protected. And what I mean by that is they're very careful who they let close
Mm.
to that environment. Like I can't just, my wife and I both like, oh, we want to get involved. And even my wife, who, she goes to church, she says Christian, she reads the Bible. They were like, yeah, nah, you stand over there, you can help from there, and then we'll do. You stay
Yes.
over there. We got it from here. And then
We're
they
we're
very
very
careful.
protective. And at the
Yeah,
same time, a lot of people come in and they want to get involved, and they want to get involved in the nitty-gritty, right? They want to see the survivors, they want to hear the stories. But unfortunately, these girls have had people in and out of their life, and we don't want to show that revolving door as much as we want to protect them as well. And
yeah.
sometimes volunteers will come in and they'll realize, okay, this is actually a little too hard for me to handle. So we do make the process a little lengthy. You have to go through courses, make sure that you're certified and can be there with the girls.
So you're pretty tied in with them then. You're
Yes.
because there was a moment where you were given such an incredible I hate saying the word speech sounds like, but you were talking at the event. It was extremely moving, and you
Thank you.
you I'm gonna get I'll get emotional talking about it. You got emotional for a second, and I crumbled. I instantly crumbled. Um, and the reason I crumbled is because when you seemed that you cracked is because it was a very hands-on personal moment or person that rocked your world.
Yes.
And I'm assuming that's the case. I don't know if you want to
No,
share
there
any of
is
that, but
it's a person that's very, very close to me. They're family to me. And
yeah,
unfortunately, she was born a meth baby, and like I had mentioned in my speech, her maternal family would burn her with
yeah,
cigarettes. She was sexually abused, subject
yep,
to child pornography, and there was a lot of things that I didn't understand why she would react a certain way that her
mm,
adopted family didn't understand. And I remember them putting her in counseling, and after seeing the way she reacted after those sessions, I didn't really understand why they had her in counseling. So I asked them, I said, is this really good for her? Or are you almost triggering those memories? Because my thought was, if this happened to her when she was so young, will she actually remember? And are you
mm,
now just helping her remember? But the child psychologist explained that if something traumatic was happening to her and
mm,
she remembers a word or an object like sting, for example, was a trigger word for her,
mm,
that her brain is still remembering parts of the memories, parts of the trauma and the emotion, but she couldn't fully remember the full memory, but was still learning how to navigate those reactions.
mm,
And we later learned that her maternal family would refer to a sting as a cigarette burn being used on her when they would punish her. So
mm,
all these different things started unraveling. And when I was speaking about that up there, I mean, I could just, and she was just down here visiting me not long ago, and I just picture her little face, and it's such a vivid memory in my
mm.
mind, and just thinking that that's just one little girl who's gotten saved, and there's so many others out there that we don't even know of. It's hard to not get emotional.
It's extremely hard. I remember even just I was living in New Jersey, and I try to get involved with kids from broken homes and addicted to heroin. And I feel, and I'm sure you feel too, to a degree, we go in there and we think, I know you guys are all professionals, but
Mhm.
they haven't met me yet. And I'm gonna straighten things out. And these kids are gonna connect with me. And they did. They all connected with me. It was such a powerful thing.
Well, you're easy to
Only
connect with, right? You're personable, like you have a easygoing vibe. And I'm sure that was refreshing for
yes.
the kids.
Yes, and I brought him to the ball game, and
Yeah.
we'd have events, only to find out of the group, and I'd get very close with like two of them I got extremely close, only to find out one out of the 10 actually made it. And then, I think we're going great, and then I get a call like, "Hey man, so and so." I'm like, "Oh," and I would just break, and there
Yeah.
was a point where I'm like, "I can't do this. I can't. I still got my girl. I can't do this. I can't emotionally." And I felt broken as far as it's extremely hard. So I give you a lot of credit, a lot of respect for what you're doing. I mean, you're young, you're beautiful, not just the outside. You're beautiful because it beams from the inside. That's
Thank
clear
you.
as that's clear as day. And even your husband, what a
He's
just a
amazing.
incredible human being. And trust me, it takes, I mean, he's a good looking guy, but that takes a lot too, to walk around and you're next to him and all eyes are upon you. So as we, um, as we move forward, so is this something that you think you're going to be involved with for a while, or you're not sure,
I
or
do. I
what,
do think
yeah,
so because at the end of the day, I'm very blessed with an amazing husband and one who allows me to kind of live, work as I want. So for
yeah,
me, I think that's a blessing that God's given us, something that He's given us. And for me, if I don't believe human trafficking will ever end because people
no,
always try to find ways to be, sneaky. I'm not naive about that, but I do think that I'm always going to have time to put in towards it. And, as long as I'm able to do that, I need to do my part and give back because I truly believe God's is the one who sets us up for everything. I had a
yeah.
plan in mind and He helped me get there and He just paved the road. So I do think this is something I'll always be involved in because it's never going to end. It's never going to, it's always going to be there. It's just hopefully we can make the numbers drop a lot more.
So can I ask you a personal question? Because I hear you talking about God a lot.
Absolutely.
Um, where did you grow up that way? Is that a moment in time in your life where it was kind of like, wow, yeah, I have a whole deeper level of believing God? Did you grow up in the church? How did, because you
Um,
clearly have faith, a strong
I
faith.
do, and I'm very blessed for my faith. My parents introduced me to faith at a young age. I can't remember a day where I didn't have faith,
Mm,
but we were very like laxy daisy church goers. So it was like we would go on Easter, we'd go for a Christmas service, every once in a while we'd show up. It was never a consistent thing in our household, but faith was always there. Whenever, we'd always pray, but we were never the type to pray at dinner and things like that. But
yes.
anytime we had questions or a new opportunity, it was always, pray about it and see what you think. My
Yeah.
parents didn't push us on it because they wanted us to make the decision.
Mm,
My mom grew up very Catholic and she, we're Christians now. Well, I've always
mhm.
been Christian, but she's a Christian now. And she just didn't want to push something down our throat. She wanted us to kind of experience on our own and make our own decisions. And then when I met my husband, he really just elevated my faith. And
Mm,
since then, I've been rebaptized. I did a believer baptism. Him and I are very consistent. We go to church every Sunday, and it's something that is not like, I wouldn't say like a hobby, but it's something that we really enjoy doing together. And I think if it wasn't for him, I
yeah.
don't know if my faith would be as strong as it is today.
Wow. All right. This is fast. So tell me about you and your husband now. Do you own the construction company? Because that he clearly isn't construction. I called him to book you, and he's like, "Listen,
On the
I'm."
job site, hammers.
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
like, yeah, yeah. It's like he's like,
I hate
bang,
that.
bang.
I'll call him. Yeah.
What do you have a construction company down in Naples? Is it Fort Myers? Is it commercial? What
Yep.
do you guys got
So
going so people can look into it?
So we're based in Southwest Florida in Naples specifically. We started by flipping houses, the two of us that we literally moved to Naples to do that. So we flip houses not just for ourselves, we actually do quite a bit for investors as well, and we do luxury remodels. And then we have our commercial division where we do commercial maintenance on properties. He does like the Mercedes Benz buildings and a couple of those ones. So, and then I do real estate. So we really try to dive into everything to be a one-stop shop for construction, home, all of that.
You guys are crushing it. Are you even 25 yet? Good Lord
I just
Almighty.
turned 27.
Good Lord. I looked at
Um,
the I looked at the two of you. I'm like, you guys are absolutely crushing it.
Thank you. Thank you. My
You-
husband he's such a hard worker. And my dad, he's the type that can build a house from the ground up. So my whole family actually moved here. So my dad and brother work with us at our company. So it's been amazing. And then my husband's dad, he's great as well. He always gives us the best business advice and helps us with, launching our businesses. So we've been very blessed with great family to help support us.
I want to be you guys when I grow up. I might have to come to you. I might have to come to you guys for advice. I'm at that stage in my life.
I'll send you
Um,
to my husband.
sounds good.
He
Sounds
probably gives
good.
better advice than I do.
So, all right, one last thing. I don't want to keep you long. What 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 would you say for anyone that honestly wants to help or get involved with the trafficking situation? Like, you took the initiative. I'm going to run for Mrs. Florida. Only that allows my voice to be
Mhm.
heard, which again is mind boggling. Not even in it for a little bit for endorsements. No, do you get endorsements and stuff for that? I would assume a little
Um,
bit.
I've been able to build, some more of a platform on social media, so that's been able to help. But
Yeah. Yeah.
um, you know, slightly endorsements, not a
Yeah.
ton. It's really
Right.
not. It's a volunteer position. At Miss
Mm,
USA, you get paid, but for mine,
right. Yeah.
it's pretty
Yeah.
much volunteer.
So, what kind of advice? Like, what can you do? Someone comes to you and they go, Tatiana, I heard what you got to say, but I live in Missouri. I really want to get involved. I want to learn more about this. What is there a direction where you can tell them to start looking into that?
Absolutely. Well, no matter where you are, if you want to be involved in Path to Freedom, we do have like our giving. You can be a monthly donor, weekly donor, whatever you want to do. And that's stuff you just sign up for on our website. And if you're in Southwest Florida, you could do that as well.
Yeah.
But I would say the first step is to look at look up safe houses near you. And most of the time, they won't say an address or anything, but you will find different organizations that are helping with rescues, whether it's providing food or toiletries for them. One of the things that I do for the girls is I create freedom boxes, and we do cosmetics and just beauty supplies to help them with their confidence. So there's a lot of different things you can do. But
Mm,
I would say the first thing is look up in your area places that are serving and helping trafficked victims, and then go from there on how you could volunteer and what would best suit you. Because not everyone
right.
maybe can be a counselor or. Mhm.
Right. No, you brought up a great point. I mean, I remember my wife and I, we first moved this town, and we were helping battered women shelter there, where it's like we were able to help by donating furniture,
Mhm.
bringing certain clothes, bringing certain toys because they had children but they didn't have any money. So there's all these little things that you can help out and doing. And
Absolutely.
I tell you, Mrs. Florida, Miss Tatiana Diaz, you are a special, blessed human being. I'm blessed to have you here. Give your husband a
Thank you.
big
I'm
hug.
grateful to be here.
Give your husband a big hug and thank him for not allowing this, but for encouraging it. We'll say encouraging it. I really
Absolutely.
a lot of people out there appreciate what you do in life, and it's more powerful than you know. And I'm sure you understand the human beings that you're reaching, and even please understand there's someone listening and watching right now that you'll never get to know in your lifetime that you'll never even know was affected in such a powerful, beautiful, blessed way. So thank you very much for putting that out there.
Well, thank you for allowing me to be here and speak on this. And I'm so glad we got to connect. Next time you're in Naples, you have to let us know. I'm sure my husband would love to see you.
I live here, so we'll
Oh, you
connect
do?
when I'm in my new
Oh,
studio. When I'm in my new studio, we'll sit down and all the mics and we'll hang out. And we'll have a whole session.
oh
That's
yes.
the
My
way to go.
husband's hilarious. You would love him. I
I
mean,
would
you've met
love it.
him, so
I would love it, and we're gonna make that happen. Thank you
that
so
sounds like a
much.
plan. Well, thank you. Thanks for having me on. This has been so much fun.
Yeah, Tatianna, have a good one.
You too. Bye.
That is, in this day and age where you're taught all about vanity and all about ego and all about yourself and all about being a star and all about wanting to be a Taylor Swift or whatever it is, this young lady and her husband are out there saving lives from Path to Freedom, from girls that are shattered, human trafficking, and those are powerful human beings. And I really wish in this day and age, instead of glorifying a quarterback, instead of glorifying a pop star backed by billions of dollars and well produced and well manufactured, instead of glorifying a politician that knows how to sell you on your emotions and your hatred and your love in something that most likely doesn't even exist. These are the real deal situations. And these are the real human beings we got to get to know and got to respect and get to understand, follow, and take their lead. So once again, I want to thank Mrs. Florida Tatianna Diaz.
Take a look around and what do you see? Mark the date down tonight, we're making history.
Hey, this is Jim Breuer, and I got my own Patreon page, and hopefully you'll check it out. Live comedy concert streamed once a month. Early access to the Breuniverse podcast every single week, and have bonus footage and bonus segments. I promise you I'm not going to let you down. Go check out my official Jim Breuer Patreon page, and I'll see you there.
So I'm originally from South Jersey, right outside Philadelphia. I was born in Pittsburgh, but then from the time I was 2 until the time I graduated, I was in South Jersey, just outside of Philadelphia. And then I went to school at Wagner on a wrestling scholarship, not wrestling the same weight class now, and stayed there from the time I was 18 until the time I was 33. I was up in New York for 15 years. I went back to school to get my MBA while working in pharmaceutical sales full-time, and I was always the guy, whether it was a 3-day conference or in class, that tried to make people laugh. So I finally got urged after the first year of classes in the summertime. It was May 29th, 2006, to do my first open mic. It was just any Monday, but that 10 minutes and wave of laughter was that high that I just couldn't get away from. I just wanted to keep doing it and keep doing it. And now 17 years later, here I am.